I saw a video of a deer with like the people mouth on it, and it's like, come on.
Yeah.
It has the juice. And it's the
Yeah.
deer like singing it.
Juice.
It's pretty hilarious.
Yeah, that's a good one.
The HUNTR Podcast is brought to you by Deer Grow.
Man, it's almost food plot season, Jared, and Deer Grow is one of those products that has really changed the way that we plant food plots and the success we've seen from them.
No doubt. I've been, trying to plant food plots my entire whitetail hunting career, which is a little shorter than yours. But the minute that I started, or that I realized that I could get Deer Grow back into some of these remote plots where I couldn't get lime or fertilizer, especially in the 50-pound bag, format. Mm-hmm. So everything was changed. I could get into these spots moving forward with a backpack sprayer, and that's since escalated to these 40 or 60 gallon sprayers, and we're doing upwards of 5 to 10 acre food plots just with Deer Grow and having phenomenal success.
Yeah, and I mean, with the price of fertilizer, lime, diesel, everything this year, I mean, what better way to get in there and grow a successful food plot at about a third of the cost? Check out Deer Grow at deergrow.com. And we're back.
Hey,
HUNTR Podcast, episode 90.
Yeah. Pretty cool.
90.
Yeah, man.
Yeah. That's
celebratory. Yeah. Gotta have some excuse here.
So let's see. You're listening to this. It's just after Labor Day. You okay? Holy, wow.
My first sip.
I remember my first whiskey.
Swing and a miss.
So
I got this nice elk stash coming in to sweep it up.
Maybe it was blocking it. It was just kind of blocking the mouth.
It flew up.
So 90. So probably, wow, if we time this right, it'll be like prime rut when we jump number 100. It'd be like peak rut.
Bingo.
Peaking. So yeah, if you're listening to this, it is after Labor Day, which means
I waited for my you're not supposed to wear white after Labor Day.
Yeah,
That's where the dynamic comes
I thought
in.
it was coming in, and we said it pre-podcast.
Yeah.
Which means Kentucky season is open.
Yeah, man.
Maybe we killed one.
You killed one. I'm not hunting Kentucky early, but yeah.
Those are the kids. We'll killed one.
You're up first.
Yeah, the kids are up first. Yeah, they're up first. I don't think I'll hunt this week.
Yeah.
So
it opens on the 1st?
3rd.
Or opens on the 3rd, that Saturday?
Yeah, which would have been Saturday. Or we would have hunted Saturday and Sunday and maybe Monday morning if we wanted to.
Did you figure out what you're doing? Are you going to go to
I'm going to try to
tomorrow?
yes. So Saturday I'm going to go to Ohio.
Wednesday.
Screw around there, and probably Wednesday make the loop down to Kentucky. Yep. That's the plan.
All right.
That's the plan. So
Elijah Craig's nice.
That's smooth. So yeah, it is September, which means we're in it. We're wide open.
Yeah, bro. It's coming.
It's time. If you listen to us last podcast, we had Ben Big Buck Killing Rising on talking about just killing big bucks because that's what he does.
Yeah.
Kills big bucks.
Dude, I think what's most impressive about Ben is he does all that like in an 8 or 10 day stretch.
I don't know how he does. He doesn't. I mean, I know he knows he's good, but I don't think he gives himself enough credit.
Oh, I think he does.
I don't think he does.
Yeah, he does.
You think so?
Yeah, absolutely. Haven't you ever heard him talk?
Well, yeah.
He's in love. He's like, I'm Ben Rising. I mean,
yeah. There was a while.
He knows.
Yeah.
He knows.
Maybe
he's earned it. I'm not saying he hasn't.
Maybe he doesn't get enough credit from other people. I mean, that dude kills big bucks as well as anyone else.
That I can agree with. Yeah, I mean, it's pretty impressive what he's done.
We've had this discussion before, and I don't, I know that there's probably a pretty substantial list, but, and I'm sure people listening to this would have input. So I guess if you're listening to this or you're watching on YouTube, comment, smash the subscribe button, right, Nick?
Yes.
Oh, yeah. We were supposed to tell you guys that. Subscribe to our YouTube channel and click the notifications so that you can watch our stuff.
Yeah.
Most of the people that are watching
Did I
right
do that right,
now,
Nick?
Yeah, that's
Okay.
it. That's
Thanks.
it. Most of the people that are watching are not subscribed. So.
What the hell?
Yeah, give us a follow if you want, or check us out on Spotify or Apple Podcasts.
Or not.
That's where I would listen.
Don't click the subscribe
Not
button.
that I listen to our own podcast.
Yeah, my wife's always like, why are you always listening to yourself? I'm like, I forget what I say.
We're like 500 shy of 10K subs. So
Ayo.
Let's get
maybe
there.
when this comes out,
Yeah,
we
let's
might
get
have
there.
10K.
I do listen to our stuff. I catch myself being like, these guys are pretty good.
Yeah, I like them. Yeah, I like them. Let's talk a little bit about the big buck killers, and we'll take ourselves out of the equation for a little bit.
Right.
Ben Rising, obviously one of the best at killing big bucks, I think.
That we know, yeah.
Don Higgins.
That has a platform anyways. I mean, dude, there's a lot of guys out there.
Well, let's start going through them. You got Ben, Don Higgins, right? You throw Sturgis in there.
Adam Hayes.
I don't know if you would throw Sturgis in. I mean, Sturgis kills big bucks, but I don't think that's his gig. You know, I think he's more of the management guy.
Well, I mean, he's just hunting.
Different area.
Yeah.
I mean, he kills big bucks, but would you call him like a big buck killer?
It comes with time. I mean, yeah. He spends enough time thinking about it, you know, and
I spend a lot of time thinking about it. Doesn't mean I am one.
He's killing them too. I just don't think he makes a big deal about it. Like his shtick is like the land management portion of it.
Full year.
The payoff is just kind of like the proof. I just don't think he makes a big deal about it.
Okay. Yeah, Adam Hayes for sure.
As opposed to, see, this is interesting. Like I don't know if I want to go down this road.
Yeah,
but
we're going. We're already down.
There are a lot of people who, and I'm not. I have a couple names in my head, but like, and I don't know. I don't want to take away from them, but like some people have like a couple like walls full of 2 and 3 year olds basically, and a couple nice deer as well that have basically earned the term or the notoriety of like big buck killers, and I've always been like, I mean, it's cool, like awesome that you killed all these deer, but like. Me personally, I would rather kill fewer. I mean, truly, I can't. I mean, the reality is there just are so few of them. Like there's.
Well, we talk about it all the time. I mean, can't kill a mature buck or a big buck if he's not there.
Right.
There's always 2-year-olds there.
Well, and just those deer that I'm thinking of when you think of a big buck killer, like even I don't know. Ben killed a handful of bucks last year, like he said. He killed that. I forget scissors. I mean, giant mainframe 12, but. There just are certain deer that I think really stand out. And like that last year that Ben killed in, I think, Illinois.
Yeah.
Is one of those.
Like King 8 or whatever.
That giant framed, beast. There's that one he killed in.
Well, and that's what I'm saying is like, I recognize.
The giant amongst giants.
Yeah, Ben doesn't need.
And Ben's killed more of those than a lot of people. There's another one that stands out for whatever reason. You remember that deer that Lee Lakoski killed off the clover plot that was just. Like thick as balls.
Yeah, just heavy.
Yeah. Like that's a
Well, and again, I would put Lee in that category of Lee's a
Bill
big buck
Winky's G4 and G5 probably.
Yeah.
Right up in there.
And I mean, that's not to say that people aren't killing bigger bucks than that. We just maybe don't know about it or don't see it as much.
100%. I mean, people that have platforms that are promoting it like at an industry level, that's got to be maybe 5 or 10% of people that are really doing it.
I think and I don't know if I would call it frustration, but I think that is some of the frustration you get from, let's say, the hunting community is that like there are people out there killing more bigger bucks than most of these platform guys, and they don't get the credit for it because they don't have a platform.
I don't know. Who's upset about that?
I think there's a lot of people.
The guys that are killing them?
Maybe. I think some of it is just the community in general. Like, what's his name? I think it's Cameron Coble I think he's from Iowa.
Okay.
And I'm pretty sure he kills a lot of big bucks. And he doesn't have near the platform that, Bill Winky has, but
sure,
he may have killed more big bucks, notably, than Bill Winky.
100%.
Just people don't know about it.
Yeah, just because you have a platform or you have a whatever show or something doesn't mean you're killing big bucks.
Well, I bet they are. I just in today's deer hunting community, their big bucks are getting more attention than maybe somebody who's killing bigger bucks or even more consistently killing bigger bucks.
Well, I mean because it's on a platform. Like people you can see it somewhere.
Well, and then throw a kink into that and say, okay, Ben killed 4 big bucks last year. But if I'm hunting one state and that's all I hunt and I kill a big buck, does that mean that I'm not as good of a big buck hunter as Ben? I just didn't hunt 4 states. I hunted 1. And I killed my big buck.
I don't know. It's all relative. Like what's better? I don't know.
Well, I mean, I think that's the thing that's always been put around hunting is like people will talk all the time about like who are the best hunters. How do you qualify that?
Yeah, it's dumb. I mean, it's
I mean, because we live in Pennsylvania, we're at a strategic disadvantage against anyone in Kansas and Iowa right out of the gate.
Right. I mean, that's what it makes hunting such a nuanced thing is it's not like your success or notoriety as being somebody who's like good or accomplished at it is not necessarily 100% based on like your skill at the activity.
Mhm.
It's not like sports, like, and I don't know, you could probably even make an argument for sports, but like in sports or maybe wrestling or something, it's like it's head to head. It's like you versus him, time and effort,
There is
talent,
a playing
skill.
field that is even.
It's an even playing field, you know. And the reality is, and a lot of guys give Mark Drury and Lee Lukoski all these, you know, big buck killers crap because they can afford to buy private land where they're growing giant deer. I mean, that's ultimately what it comes down to. You can't kill them if you're not there, is what we ultimately come back to. There may be a better hunter who has less access, or somebody who just gets lucky that isn't as good of a hunter. And those guys or gals kill big deer too.
Not consistently.
Not consistently. Consistency, I think, is a great indicator of a good deer hunter.
Well, and that's where I think that going
One
back
of the
to
best.
maybe some of these people who are, you know, pot stirrers or bitter about it is that they don't have access to private land in Iowa. Thus, they're not killing what somebody sees from Iowa on private land as being a big buck. They're not killing that because they don't have it. They're hunting whatever, public land in Kentucky, you know, and that doesn't mean that they can't kill a big buck in relation to where they're hunting and what they're hunting. But I think where their frustration stems from is that, you know, Mark Drury's got 10,000 acres of unpressured land, and
well, I mean, that's just the reality. Like,
it is.
it's just the reality.
Well, and that's why I think, like, it feels like everybody's always trying to make it a competition. Like, oh, so-and-so killed this, or this guy always kills big bucks, and this, and you, it is so apples, oranges, bananas. Like, you can't compare any of them. Do you like that? That's good.
Mm-hmm.
You can't compare any of them. Like, maybe if, you know, you wanted to say who kills more big bucks in Iowa, Bill Winke or Mark Drury, like, that's about as level playing field as you're going to get. But even that's a stretch.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not trying to make it a competition. There are, you know, there's companies, there's been projects, and it's fine.
I think that the community has made it a competition.
Are they?
100%.
I mean,
if you're saying, yeah, I killed a 157, you're making it a competition.
I mean, I don't know. I think people are just looking for like some acknowledgement of their accomplishment.
Some gratification from the
Sure.
peers.
Yeah. No, I mean, we're all, I don't know if it's guilty. We've all done that.
Mm-hmm.
I want that. If I ever change my profile picture to a thing, it's like I want somebody to be like, "Oh, look at Jared killed a big buck."
Mm-hmm.
That's why you do it.
I think there is an element of it.
That's what social media
In all
is.
of us.
Look at what I did.
100%. Yeah, it's a platform.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's a bragging platform.
I don't think there's anything wrong with wanting
No.
affirmation either. I mean, it's cool. You want to be able to show that off, like.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, I don't think it should be a. I mean, like I was getting into there's been some companies
like
or
actual contests and stuff.
actual contests.
Which, I mean, everybody's probably been part of a big buck contest locally or deer camp big buck
Yeah.
contest, which is cool.
it's
you know.
fine. There's nothing wrong with
The
that.
national ones have been more prevalent in the last 3-4 years.
Yeah, I mean, my feelings on those personally is like that's to me not the point. You know, kind of takes away from the real reason that we're hunting.
Sure.
You know, to infuse a competition or say is better work because it's not a level playing field. At the end of the day,
No.
the sooner you accept that and say, I mean, that's where guys can be happy killing 130-year-old, 4 or 5 year old bucks on public land in Wisconsin type of a deal.
Sure.
That is
That's
just
an
as
accomplishment.
impressive when you compare it to
Unpressured. Yeah, Buffalo
Whatever.
County, Wisconsin.
Exactly.
160.
exactly.
Yeah. Yeah, and it is an interesting
It's all
thing.
relative.
Well, and I think it goes back to that, and we beat the dead horse enough on it, but it goes back to that you can't kill him if he's not there. Like,
How many times have we said that in this podcast? We're
ton.
gonna make a T-shirt that has
Yeah,
that
we're
on
gonna
it,
make t-shirts,
by the
but-
way.
if you look at, like, if I'm hunting a section of unpressured private land in Buffalo County, Wisconsin, there are 160s that exist and over on those places, right? So that goal is attainable. If I'm hunting extremely pressured public land in Wisconsin, that 160 plus might not be there, or there's way fewer of them. So therefore, if I shoot one, like, it is a bigger accomplishment because of the rarity or scarcity of it compared to the unpressured private land. And I get that. What I don't know is, like, there's a stigma around, like, oh, anybody can kill big bucks on unpressured public land. And I don't know if that, I know we've kind of called it out and said, well, is that just because you don't have access to it and you're a little bit jealous?
Well, they're not. I mean, it's certainly easier than in some other places.
But don't you think that's almost everyone's goal? Like, if you hunt deer,
I mean, I mean, it's relative, like I said.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like if you have access to public land, you know, your goal should be in accordance with what you have access to.
Sure.
You know, and as you grow
No, stop there. You have access. If you could hunt private land, you're not going to turn it down and say, well, I hunt public for the challenge.
No, but the extreme end of that is like I could go and hunt a high fence facility.
100%.
And I choose not to do that because, you know, that's beyond what I feel is ethical or challenging.
Yep.
You know, I'm not judging anybody that does that. It's just a different thing. Just like private land, maybe on not as harsh of a scale, is a different thing from public. Definitely not on as harsh as a scale. I mean, a controlled environment like
fenced.
a fence is its own thing altogether.
They're there. You're in a fence. They're not going anywhere.
Yeah, but there is definitely a difference between private and public land in that same mentality.
Based on pressure, management opportunities.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, competition.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's what's cool about hunting is, you know, and also frustrating for some people. It's like, it does come down to access. Access equals opportunities. And, you know, not everybody's at the same starting point or has the same ability to obtain access. And it comes through people skills, through money, through connections, you know, family, land ownership. Like all of these things play into your ability to have access. From there to actually take advantage of the opportunity and kill a mature buck is where the skill comes in.
And don't get me wrong.
Or luck.
I
There's
think,
definitely luck too.
I think there's a benefit of I don't know if I want to say having to, but definitely needing to hunt, you know, like a high pressured public land situation, like, you know, growing up in college and stuff too. You know, I had a lot of those opportunities, and I think it only makes you a better hunter because you're forced to, like, you know, experience one of the toughest situations to get it done, that as you start to have access to private land and unpressured private land, you know, you're probably not saying, well, I don't need to use these skills anymore. You're just applying them to what I guess would be a little bit easier place to hunt.
I think it goes both ways. So I've also hunted public land. Last year we went and hunted Illinois, which is, you know, a great state, generally speaking, but we had a really tough time.
Super high pressure where we were.
And on the complete contrast, I didn't hunt. I was participating in a high fence deal. I went and like filmed. It was an old client of Stone Road. We went. And, And so I was in the blind, and some kid was hunting his, you know, billionaire grandfather bought him his hunt, and he shot this 230-inch beast. And, you know, while I'm ethically not on board with that, it's not something I want to participate in. There's definitely something to be learned from that as well. They're still deer. You know, it's in even though it's a controlled environment.
Yeah, it's still an animal.
It's a couple 100-acre preserve essentially, and they're I learned a lot just from observing those, even though they're more comfortable, you know, they're obviously coming to feeders and stuff like that, but you can take stuff from either end of the spectrum, you know, whether it be a scarcity environment like public land or a target rich environment that's, you know, almost shooting fish in a barrel, and apply that to, you know, somewhere in the middle. There's a range of like, what can I get access to? What do I want out of the hunting experience? That comes down to, what do I use bait or not? Do I shoot with a
100%
gun, crossbow, compound bow, traditional bow? All those things are choice and preference, you know, and they get applied to levels of opportunity, and ultimately that can change over time. You know, I might fall in love with public land whitetails in a certain state, not even over time, but from state to state. Yeah,
I mean, Kansas is one every year. I would say some of our best spots are public land. And we have leases. We have private land. It's just how it is. Now, flip that coin to Ohio. No, like it's private land. It's not public. And some of that is the state to state basis because of the pressure and stuff. But it's also just the areas. I mean, we're going to hunt with Steve Shirk on public land in northern Pennsylvania. That right now is, Steve's got bigger bucks than I've got anywhere on private land in Pennsylvania on national forest ground.
Yeah, well, I mean, I think it's about making the most of what you have and setting goals. I mean, hunting, just like life, should be based on growth and goals. And so while I think it's perfectly fine and reasonable for a young kid to shoot whatever they want, like my first year was a doe with a rifle. At this point in my life or my career, like I'm not super interested in that, in replicating that. I've developed into a more difficult weapon to kill a deer with, and I want to do it at a higher scale. So I'm scaling, I'm trying to kill a more mature buck in this case. And that's just like,
that's the evolution.
That's the evolution. That's the growth that I wish more people would embrace. But it is.
But that's where it goes back to like why you're hunting. Like you're hunting because you love the challenge. 100%. You love the increased opportunity. At the end of the day, you don't want to hunt the most high pressured, impossible public land. You just want to have a challenge of killing a mature buck with archery equipment. And I think that there are other people who their goal in hunting is to kill a deer, period. Mm-hmm. Doesn't matter what it is.
Or just maybe totally, like legitimately, they want meat for a freezer.
Yes.
And that's totally opposite. Like the fact that we get meat from a harvest is just like an added benefit. Yep. Like it's cool. Mm-hmm. But I can buy my own steak. Like that's right. I'm not hunting because I have to eat. Mm-hmm. I do it because I love the chase and the pursuit and the growth of that, like we talked about.
But. Yeah, and I think that's where because we've talked that line. Obviously for I have just taken the boys out for first 2 days of Kentucky season. Maybe one of them has just killed a buck at this point. I don't know. But like,
and you're only letting your boys shoot 5-year-olds, right?
Yes,
right.
5-year-olds, 160 pluses. Well, and frankly, that's one of my fears is because in the two areas, I bet I have one that's chasing 150 and one that's over 150, and not that I wouldn't be ecstatic if they killed that, but they're also very young in their hunting careers to where, dude, I was shooting one-horn spikes, Yeah. And so what if this 150 comes out and they smoke it at 20 yards? It's like, holy shit, how do you ever top that? They can switch to traditional archery equipment and things like that. But you see what I'm saying? Because we are in an era of hunting that is very different than the way that we grew up. That doesn't mean that you couldn't kill a big buck. That was the goal growing up when I was 12, 13, 14 years old. Like I have dreams of killing big bucks, right? Mm-hmm. But the feasibility of it then versus now has changed dramatically.
Yeah. And I don't know that I really realized this
when did you kill your first big buck?
I shot a 3-year-old off out of Scary Oak with my bow when I was probably 15
or 16.
Yeah.
And
I hunted. I had hunted from the time I was 12.
Yep.
I could start hunting by myself. I wounded a deer like opening day of my first hunt ever. Mm-hmm. Like it was pitch dark. Like deer. It just didn't work out. I had some bad experiences early on. Sure. Like a lot of people do.
You learn from it.
Yeah, and I learned. I was like, that's wasn't cool. Like I tried to figure out what happened there. Maybe I couldn't see the deer as much. Maybe it's too hard of an angle. But I hunted a long time.
Yeah, I don't think I killed my first buck that was over 3 until I was at least 17, maybe 18.
Yeah, and I remember at the time, dude, that 3-year-old buck was the biggest buck I'd ever seen in my life. I couldn't believe
They're
it.
rarities.
I was like, look at that thing coming through the woods,
Yeah.
And I smashed him at like 10 yards broadside. He just ran a circle around me and piled up, and it was the best thing ever. Like I'll never forget that. And I've killed several bigger bucks since. Mm-hmm. And so, and to circle back what you were saying earlier about how are you going to ever top that? I don't think that is necessarily the objective. Mm-hmm. I think that like once you experience, achieving your goal in hunting, whatever it is. For me, the pinnacle or like the climax is like is harvesting that mature buck that you've been hunting all this time, and it's not just because of the killing as much as it is all of
everything
effort,
that's around
the perseverance, the struggle that's gone into it.
Which is why we like this year-round aspect of management and planting food plots and shed hunting and everything else.
And it's accrued over time. It's not just like, this deer showed up on camera a week ago. I moved this camera and this and that. It's the fact that I've been hunting and dreaming about hunting since I was 5, 6, 7 years old. And that's obviously developed, but when you achieve that success, it's like, man, everything that has gone into it up until that point comes into play. Like that's what's fueling your emotion, and it's like, so I don't think it's about topping that the next time. It's
impossible. We talked about that. You can't expect to top a deer. That's why we talk about age a lot more than like 160s, 170s.
Yeah, because
like you kill 175, which I have, like, I don't know if I'll ever top that in my life.
In terms of score.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, I think it's very much like way more about replicating, reliving, and like we were talking about growth. And I mean, it's really cool because like, so this past year I killed that, he taped right out 170 at gross. He's probably shrunk a little since or whatever.
Sure.
But I mean, that was the biggest deer that I had killed.
Mm-hmm.
And I hung that stand myself.
Mm-hmm.
We planted the food plot there. I had made the relationship with the landowner to get that access. Like I said, all the years of, dreaming about that situation, all of those things played into the emotion after I killed that deer. And it was like impossible to describe. I mean, just literally just joy and like relief and success, like all at the same time. And I don't care if I ever really, I mean, it is part of my goal one day I'd love to kill a 200-inch deer. But if that never happens, fine. But as long as the next one that I kill, even if he's the same age or older or the same score or bigger or smaller, I hope that like the journey to having killed that deer is like just even that much more intense. My understanding of like the scenario is growing. My attitude towards it and how I share it with other sportsmen and stuff is like, that seems to be kind of, and ultimately at your point, you're doing it with your kids. And I think that's a whole nother phase where it's like the culminate. And we talked about that a lot with Bill Jordan.
Yep.
Just kind of the evolution of you as a hunter, and a portion of that is wrapped up in the size and age of the deer you can kill, where you can kill them, how many of them you can kill. But ultimately, I think it's more inside of us.
I like that. I think what's really, we talked about this from an entertainer perspective.
Elijah Craig gets it flowing, doesn't it, Nick?
Yeah, he's juicing at that point. You hear some of these people from a television personality aspect that talk about it like, well, I'm doing this to entertain, right? And like I can remember hearing that from the first time from a pretty prominent like deer hunter. Said, well,
Was he wearing a visor?
No. He was wearing a cowboy hat. And he said, well, I'm an entertainer. I don't think of myself as a hunter. And I was like, well, what do you mean? He's like, well, he's like, I like hunting. He's like, but I'm out there hunting and shooting deer to entertain you. And I was like, dude, that's sad.
Who was
it? Huh?
Who was it?
Larry Weishuhn. Larry Weishuhn? People will know it. Larry, listening to this. Mr. Whitetail is what they called him.
Okay. Is he the dude that shoots deer with pistol?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep. And he said he was an entertainer.
Old guy, right?
Yep. And, one of the probably original, like, TV personality type guys. And I kind of looked at him and like, man, like, I know the feeling I have, like, even when I shoot a doe still. Like, I get the shakes, I get worked up, but like you said, that joy, relief, like, all rush at once. Like, and, like, I could tell, like, a guy like that doesn't have that anymore. Like, he's entertaining you. And it's like, if I ever get to that point, like, I better stop hunting, because like you've lost that true feeling. I mean, that most of it. I mean, even when you miss, man, like how many times have you miss a deer and like my legs can't stop shaking. I gotta sit down. Yeah, I'm falling apart in the stand.
Well, and that sucks for Larry, because who knows? I don't know Larry at all. But
well, I'm
at
sure
one
he
time,
felt the pressure.
At one time,
100%.
Who knows? I don't know what he feels like, but
at one time he felt like we were describing.
Yeah.
And eventually it became, well, I'm doing a business, or I'm entertaining people, and that's
the pressures of this industry.
We
I
asked
think.
Mark that, right?
Yeah.
Was it jury?
Right.
We asked Mark, like, you feel that pressure of like, you have to make content and make a TV show and stuff like that. But then you hear Mark talking, you're like, no, this dude still loves it. Like, he lives for this stuff.
Yeah. And maybe like in the jury situation, there is a scenario where like it's very doable. Like in the Midwest, like you're gonna kill, Winky's tagging out on $3 a season, and that's his season depends. You have pro staff.
Yeah.
And there's ways to structure it, but inevitably, it's like an industry professional, quote unquote, where
it's
sponsors are paying you to have good content involving you killing big bucks. Just it's hand in hand. That pressure comes with it, and that sucks for.
Well, I was talking
like
to a guy yesterday who's still filming a TV show, and I was like, man, I don't envy you. Like, have to film 13 episodes and basically have kills in them, and like too much work when I like just enjoy hunting, like and being out there.
Yeah.
And he didn't disagree. It's just it's a business, and so like that's the path you kind of chose to walk down, and frankly, we were close to it. We tiptoed towards it, and a year ago, and then we were like, no, we don't want to do this shit.
Yeah. Well, and for me, it's not totally off the table. Like I would never want to do a TV show or anything, but like, I definitely enjoy sharing our experience and our passion with people. And if we could find a way to do that doesn't impose on, our ability to just have a season, I would be all for that.
Well, dude, there is at some point, Nick.
The podcast is that for right now.
Yeah, at some point we'll dig it up. I have a bunch of like my original like self-film stuff from like when I was like late teens, early college. And
God, I delivered them.
And dude, they're hilarious to go back and watch. But one of the reasons I did it wasn't like, oh, I'm gonna be a TV star personality or anything. It was like, no, I just like, this is cool. Like this is fun, so that like I could come home and instead of me trying to like explain how a hunt went, it's like, no, just watch this. And yeah, it was dog shit, and like we missed half the time, or it was just sloppy, but ultimately it was cool to be able to bring that home and show it to people and be like, yeah, watch this, like watch this buck come through, and everybody's like, damn, that's cool, like here it comes, like right through the woods, and like, man, he was chasing a doe or whatever. And those were the cool things. I think that's why when we talk about Bill Jordan and Tyler and those guys, originally, like we watched Buckmasters and Realtree because as hunters, we were experiencing, the rut and what late October and November means to us in the woods. But like your conversations were really weird because it was basically like me explaining my experience to you. Then all of a sudden these shows come out like Realtree Outdoors and Buckmasters, and it's like you're watching a guy and you're like, dude, you remember when that buck did that in the woods? Like, now you have something to visually relate to. And then it just kind of like exploded there for a while. And, we've talked about it here being in the industry. Like, I don't know if it was probably like 2015, 16, 17-ish, where it was like the industry felt as big as I've ever felt it. Like it just felt massive in content and TV and personalities. And like you would walk into a trade show, like a consumer trade show, whether it was like a deer expo or whatever, and people would pull their trailers in, and it was lines for a mile and a half just to buy a piece of product to have them then sign. And then like slowly, I just feel like it went gone, like just out the window. And like it still exists there. And obviously, I think as a hunting community, like we're still here. We're supposedly even bigger than we've ever been. But it just feels weird in terms of how that kind of like the wind just got sucked out of it. And I don't necessarily say that that's a bad thing, because I think that's why guys like Ben Rising, Bill Winky, like I think that's why those guys really still have such a dedicated following. The HUNTR Podcast is brought to you by Stealth Cam.
Dude, where would we be without our cell cams?
I would definitely be divorced at this point.
Yeah, I hear that.
I mean, the fact is I spent more time checking cameras than I actually did hunting prior to cell cameras. Now at least my wife can enjoy me being in the comfort of my own home, buried in my phone checking those pictures.
Yeah, 100%. And dude, when it comes to trail cameras and definitely cell cameras, reliability is, I think, the number one thing that we're looking for. Stealth Cam just has a long reputation of reliable cameras, and ultimately that is the most important thing to us. They have to work.
In terms of reliability, there's not a better camera on the market than Stealth Cam, whether you're talking about the Fusion X, the Reactor, or the DS 4K Transmit. And most of them are under $200.
Stealthcam.com. Check them out. Well, dude, I think it has a lot to do with the platform stuff we've been talking about.
Just that massive switch.
Yeah, I mean, I think you could probably say the same thing about like anything from that era, like as far as like a content medium, like sitcoms is what comes to mind.
Sure.
You think about like I don't know, Home Improvement, or yeah, like one of these things that was like an everyday thing. It's like you came home from school, or like
Saved by the Bell
in the evening, or even bigger, Lost, right? Whatever. Those things kind of went away at the same time. Like
Survivor.
Yeah, just with the switch from network to digital platforms, and like the mainstream media, I think, has recovered better in the way of like Netflix Hulu,
and
Amazon
Hulu and
Prime.
stuff.
I think the hunting community has just not been as adaptable to like this new.
I mean, we got comments on it, and I've seen other people post it on. I mean, the majority of people watch YouTube for their content. Besides, like, throw TikTok and the other social, like, short form pieces out. If they're watching content, they're watching TikTok.
Which sucks, because what else do you watch on YouTube?
Maybe a how-to if I need something.
Yeah, like that's what it's there for. It's like a resource.
Other than that, I mean, that if I'm watching hunting TV, it is on YouTube.
Yeah, and in the same way that I have never really been on board with like a Facebook for hunting, which so many people have tried to start, I just think that, you know, hunting, if that's something that you want to watch, like should be in the same place as like
sports,
where you want to watch stuff,
everything else. Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I think that the platform change too, and what I think is cool about YouTube is like, yeah, for sure, when like Rising drops a new episode, we watch it, or we talked about like
I definitely watch
Chasing
it on
Novembers
YouTube.
have just come out, but
Chasing
like,
November's out, by the way. You should check that out.
Yeah, I also find like Nick Latosky made this hunt, and like he has 1 subscriber, and I'm like, damn, that was a good hunt.
And there is cool stuff on
which
there.
is cool to find, because where else, like when it was a controlled platform, you know, of TV and everything, like that's didn't exist. Like you would have never saw Nick's hunt that, you know, was awesome, because he couldn't get it on these platforms. Now, because of a YouTube, and yeah, I'm not saying YouTube's the savior, because they obviously have problems with a lot of our lifestyle, but you're able to find these unique, original pieces of content that you would never watch before.
Like same thing, same as we were
saying.
saying.
Do you enjoy those pieces? Like, obviously, I know you and I watch Chasing November and Rising.
What pieces?
Like, a Nick Latosky post a video of him hunting.
Yeah, I do. I think that like hunting is not as good of a fit for like a consumption, any kind of consumption model. Like we've talked about TikTok in the past, it's really tough.
Yes.
TV is doable,
yeah,
but
frankly, I think a lot of the TikTok hunting stuff is just annoying, because they'll try to use trending sounds over top of like a velvet buck in a field, and I'm like, just want to shoot myself in the face.
Yeah, dude, I have to say too, like there's some like females doing provocative hunting stuff.
There's a lot of them.
I think is pretty disgusting.
And I know some of them are legit. Like we talk about Allie. Like Allie is a legit hunter.
I don't think she's doing anything productive. She's a beautiful girl.
But there are these other ones that are coming out of the woodwork, and I'm like, there was literally one. It was, I wish I would have grabbed it. It was so
There's
fun.
one I see her all the time. It's this redhead, like
getting her hair pulled.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes. Yeah, I've seen that. And there's another one who was like I don't know, made some comment about hunting. She literally has a bow, shooting fingers, and just is like, tink. Like, I mean, no anchor point, just straight out here, just like, and I'm like, you don't hunt. Clearly,
well, whatever. If you do or not, it's like, we get it.
You're
a whore. I get it. We understand. I see what you're trying to do here.
I get it. But like,
it just sucks because it's like, are we
that gullible that they're just like, hey, let's just appeal to the hunters because these guys are freaking stupid?
Well, and it's like, I get it. Maybe you do really like to hunt. It's fine. It's just like, well, even if I'm saying if they do, I don't know.
Okay.
I'm just not super on board with the two being like in connection with one another.
Yeah, it's really odd. And I mean, but that is like, you either have that on TikTok for hunters, or you've got like, I would say our normal hunting group trying like desperately to like be part of TikTok, and it just ain't working.
I haven't really seen any of that, to be honest.
Obviously we love Sean and Mike, but I saw one from Heartland the other day, and it had like, I don't know, some little kid talking over like a buck in the field, and I was just confused.
I saw a video of a deer with like the people mouth on it, and it's like, come on.
Yeah.
It has the juice, and it's the deer like singing it. It's pretty hilarious.
Yeah, that's a good one. But yeah, I mean,
generally, back to what I was
forced conformity, because I think we feel, and I mean, we use it. In fact, a lot of people find us on TikTok.
Well, dude,
which is
consider like
cool.
what other thing other than live sports that it's mainstream has millions of dollars poured into the production, but even it is still in a controlled environment, 100%. Whether it's a NASCAR track or a football field. Like who else is? You know what I'm saying? Like,
doesn't exist.
Where the lifestyle, the true activity matches a format that's able to be produced and put into television shows.
We talked about that kind of realm of mainstream TV. That was when reality TV was so important. And the Survivors, the Big Brothers, or whatever, everything, Real Housewives, like reality TV took over what we knew as like sitcoms, basically.
Like Storm Chasers is like the closest thing I can think of. I'm trying to think. You need nature to cooperate with your production.
Yeah, and
like that's the freaking hardest thing you could possibly try to do.
There's some cool stuff, but think of it. I would say probably
Yeti films, which are obviously real.
80% of TV stuff right now is nonfiction. Like it's not, it's real based content, and then 20% is like sitcom, episodic stuff. I mean, it feels like we're very much on like if you're watching TV, like it's something like a Cops or First 48 or whatever. Like it's reality based. Like it is nonfiction based stuff. Whereas when we were growing up, everything on TV was fiction. Everything was made up. It was sitcoms. It was soap operas. It was whatever.
I don't know, man. So I don't have cable.
So I think you watch Netflix and Hulu, which I do too.
On the streaming platforms, I see very little.
Correct. Yes, I think
nonfiction stuff.
Very little.
It's almost if the closest you're going to get to that is a serial killer documentary, which I love.
Which I love too.
It's great. Who doesn't?
Mm-hmm.
It's great.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, other than that,
it's all fiction.
The Office, basically.
Yeah, which is, and I think that's why that has taken off or had taken off. It's dipped now, because like frankly, like I don't want to sit there and watch my TV and I'm just like whatever. Like it's all realistic, like real things happening that has no interest or impact on me. Right. Besides like sports, and that's like it. I don't care. Like
the news. I guess there's the news.
The news. Yeah. Somewhat fiction.
Interesting that the news is not on like Netflix or Hulu.
Yeah.
Wouldn't you think that it would there would be some news channel on there?
I don't know.
Yeah, I haven't watched the news in years.
It's always
like I see some YouTube clips from time to time. I'll be like, oh, what's this? It'll be like Tucker Carlson.
In the morning, if I'm having coffee, or in the evening after dinner, like it'll be playing in the background. But I don't like only certain things will catch my attention. Like if you're listening to this is now old news, but like the student debt forgiveness thing that just came out. Like that caught my attention because I'm like, some bitch, I paid that shit off already.
Yeah.
But other than that, they'll
talk. You got student debt, Nick?
Yeah, only $3,000 though.
So does all of it get forgiven?
I think so.
Good for you.
Thanks,
we're taking
Uncle
that off
Joe.
your paycheck.
We're paying for it. But yeah, so like those things. But then the next 30 minutes, I don't like. It's just a blur. Like you could ask me, quiz me on what I just watched. I have no idea.
Yeah.
And I think that's different than if you're watching like a Netflix or a Hulu, where if you're into like a series, like you're into a series.
It's entertainment.
Yeah, it's entertainment. We struggle in that hunting world, right? Because I think people want to see series, but it's real stuff. Like, so again, to your point, what else is like that? What else is out there that is real happening, but like, oh, you got to wait till next week to see what happens? Sports have a beginning, middle, and end every episode.
Yeah.
There's always a goal in sports,
That's it. And there's an end. It ends. It's not like, ooh, you know what? We're going to pick this up next Sunday.
It's a controlled environment. I mean, so if you would try to fit the model, you could say like a high fence hunt is controlled. There's a beginning, middle, and end. That would be easy.
Yep.
But
every hunt has a beginning, middle, or end.
Yeah, but there's no way to know when it's going to be.
Correct. Well, and I think this is where people like Ben and Bill and Midwest Whitetail have done such a good job, is like they applied that series format to it to where it was like, oh, dude, I got to watch next week's, And whereas
dude,
a lot of the television shows, they go to Wyoming, they start the hunt, they're in the hunt, they finish the hunt. Next week's show has nothing to do with the previous show at all. The HUNTR Podcast is brought to you by Hoyt Archery.
Dude, where would we be without our Hoyt bows?
Probably shooting crossbows.
or a Matthews, yeah.
One and the same.
Yeah.
But in all seriousness, we love being Hoyt guys because you stand out. When you're in this room full of other people that shoot these other types of bows, I feel like the Hoyt guys just stick out.
Dude, it's just a legit bow. I mean, especially that carbon riser, man. I mean, I know that they've got several other aluminum lines as well, but for me, I'm shooting that RX-5 in the carbon model. They've since come out with the RX-7, and I can't tell you how much I love being a Hoyt guy amongst a sea full of Matthews guys. So we're out there, I think, proving them wrong, shooting 80 pounds and killing stuff.
Hey, man, if you want to get serious, get Hoyt. You're not going to the gym now.
Oh, I definitely am.
How's your pre-workout and whiskey mix?
Pretty good, dude. Bro, my legs are getting strong. Like
Speaking
I don't want to like just brag, but like that 100 pounds on my back's getting easier and easier.
Speaking of TikTok, Jared looks like the guy that has like the big chin when he mixes his pre-workout and whiskey in.
I'm stronger. I'm better. I am better.
But yeah, I think that's why hunting content has struggled. Is like we don't conform to anything else that's out there.
Yeah, I agree.
You know, and good for like a Chasing November or even Rising to where like they're patient in dropping their episodes a year later, whereas a lot of people feel pressure to like, man, if I filmed it last week, I got to get it out next week or it's irrelevant, and that's even more pressure.
Yeah, it's funny. Somewhat recently, like on YouTube, I've seen a couple. I don't want to put anybody down for what they're doing. Sure. Like, it's cool, go for it. But I see people like, you know, basically adopting the Midwest Whitetail model, like just the real-time model, and they're like treating it like it's a new thing. They're like we're gonna try to bring you real-time episodes like 1 week after. I'm like, you've seen like Midwest Whitetail, right? Like,
it started in like 2012.
You've heard of this?
Yes, you've heard of. Have you heard of this before?
You know, and I'm sure, you know, everybody has their own thing to bring or to offer, but like it's been done before.
Well, Nick and I were talking about it the other day when we were discussing like YouTube Shorts and stuff, like how important consistency is. And the reality is it's not easy to do. It's easier for us because we know we sit down every Thursday, we film this podcast. It's going to drop next Tuesday.
Controlled environment. Yeah, we're reading our scripts. Like, you know, everything's set in stone. It's real easy.
Yes. But if you think about it from like a hunting standpoint, like, cool, you expect to film, I'm going to hunt today, and then next week we're going to drop this hunt. Hunt's boring. Nothing happens. What do I do next Tuesday?
Happens all the time.
What do you do next Tuesday? You have no content. Or it's completely boring and nobody's going to watch it because it's you sitting in a tree stand picking your boogers.
It's tough. And on a bigger scale, like, ultimately, you kill that buck you're after, but maybe it took you 2.5 years to do it. We dropped that in 13 minutes.
Ugh.
You know, like,
yeah,
it takes 2.5 years to make it. It's just like,
and we've all seen, and no knock to them, but we've all seen the ones that try to drag it to like an hour, and I'm just like, skip. Okay, he's actually going to kill this thing now.
Right.
It's too long.
Right.
And I get it. It's because to you experiencing it, you want to be able to relive that whole thing. To me, the viewer, I'm like, dude, I'm fast forward 2 years and kill this thing already.
There are some, you know, individuals or films that I thought have done a nice job, like capturing the
Donnie's.
The ethos. Yeah, Donnie Vincent is who comes to mind. You know, he's doing more of a film format.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's cool. Like, I can really appreciate even the Heartland Bowhunter stuff, even though it's shorter.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I thought they do a really nice job of, like, in the same way they'll get criticized for like showing the slow motion mud puddle thing or whatever, too dramatic. You know, I appreciate the attention to detail, like to all aspects of going into the
There's
hunt.
a cinematic aspect where, I mean, like uncinematic, I really like the Whitetail Adrenaline series stuff.
Yeah, sure.
I think those guys are great, and I don't, no knock to them, to Jared and the guys, but like I don't think they pay attention to the cinematic aspect. of it. They just want to capture it and bring it to you.
Yeah,
and it's cool. I like his new one. They're putting out. I don't know. It's supposed to drop sometime this fall. I think he said there's like 12 hours of content on that set.
Yeah.
Holy shit.
Yeah,
that's crazy.
Yeah, it's just constant action. I mean, that's a cool approach. I mean, I think that's pretty neat.
It's a film everything type of series.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, it and again, none of those are right or wrong. I don't think. It's what makes it so difficult, and I think why YouTube has become the hub is because YouTube will take whatever you got.
It's corn.
It's corn. It's got the juice.
It has the juice.
It has the juice.
It has the juice.
See, we'll go viral because we have that in here next. That's why we did it. But yeah, I mean, I think that because it'll take whatever you got. You know, YouTube becomes a thing. Like I've watched 1 minute, like literally there's no opening, no music, no nothing. It's just buck comes in, they shoot it, end is probably a picture of them holding it. They don't even recover it. And I'm like, that was cool. Then I watch a Heartland Bowhunter that's 15 minutes long or 20 minutes long that is like cinematically produced and like takes me through a story. And I'm like, that also was cool.
Isn't it funny how, like, I don't know what it is in our brain, like the lack of
oxygen.
Lack of
brain cells, neurons. I'm running out.
Time
continuum.
Attention. What's the thing?
Attention.
What's the thing? Like, you know,
Like your attention span?
attention span. Next thing.
I was lost 30 seconds ago.
Isn't it crazy how like I don't even know why you do that. Like I'm not the kill is like it's not the reason we don't hunt to kill stuff.
Sure.
But for some reason, like when I watch hunting videos, especially boring ones, I'm like, all right, jump to the kill shot. Like and people have picked up on that. There's like
the climax.
Kill shot compilations basically. What is it about that's like
it's the climax.
Yeah, I guess. I mean, yeah, it's the peak of the excitement. It's the the activities like.
Yeah, I think it is the culmination of. It doesn't matter. The story could be 6 hours long. The culmination is you put an arrow or you shot it.
But what an injustice to like the effort put in, like to kill a 180-inch buck or whatever kill shot I'm watching. Probably was years.
Well, we've had this discussion of like we wanted to film the food plots and the shed hunting and the scouting and everything, and if you're doing it, I think
we're gonna put your real-time updates for every week.
Yeah, it's so unique. Nobody else has ever done it before. And then you get to the end, and you're like for us watching it and reliving it, I think it's cool. But to the average person watching it, they can't relate to all the prep, or they're just like, yeah, cool, you planted a brassica food plot, great. We've seen that 5,000 times.
Yeah,
so it just, I think, it's not that they don't want to see the story. It's just what is unique about it is the actual shot on that buck or the situation that brought the shot on the buck.
Yeah. I'll propose this too. I think I've been on the camp of like it's cool to see the kill shot and to be able to relive that.
Mm-hmm. Can't do that on TikTok.
No, but I also like at this point feel it's pretty cool that I'm the only one that knows about it, like that can recall it, can actually relive it.
I was like, what secret access do you
No.
have?
Like I'm thinking
just
about
in your own
yeah,
situation.
like I'm thinking about that buck that I killed on. I've said it was the second in the past. That's wrong. It was November 3rd.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I saw that.
I'm the only one that can visualize that deer. I know like what he did, how he came out, how he acted. Granted, my memory would be even better probably if I could watch it, but there is something cool and special about like that's mine.
That is why when I started filming in like high school and stuff, I did it was because I could come back and I could show my dad, but I could relive like that memory visually. Like it's cool, eventually you're going to lose some details of that situation. But you're right in that you remember it to a T.
Like it is cool to be able to show your guys in camp.
You remember that feeling,
look
like
at this.
looking to your left and being like, damn, there he is.
But if I don't have that, the alternative is like old school. It's like around, we're standing around the deer hanging out the pole. I'm like, this is what happened.
Which I think a lot of us still enjoy, man. Like we did it in Kansas. Unfortunately, I think that's fading. And you and I talk about it all the time. Like we'll take every opportunity we get to hunt, but it kind of sucks if you go out and shoot a buck and you don't have anybody to like enjoy it with.
Absolutely.
It's like, cool, I shot it. I could text you and talk to you and stuff, but
dude, so rare too. Like we take for granted like our relationship with just like how passionate we are like on an equal level about deer hunting.
Well, I mean that buck, I sat in the stand for like an hour and a half waiting for you and Brain, like, and I made
you.
I know. I was
freaking get down. I'm gonna kick your ass.
I'm gonna break your legs if you get down out of that stand. Yeah, and I was just like waiting there in the dark by myself, like, cool. I just wait here till I see headlights come up.
Now, there's definitely a camaraderie aspect.
But there's a reason for it. Yeah. Same with that deer. Like finding that deer was freaking awesome. Because we got to do that. And I still can remember drinking Coors Originals and eating chili dogs, after a 4-mile track
chills
job.
When you said I'd remember that vividly.
But it was fun because like that was a cool experience that like had I just went out and found it myself, I'd have been like, fuck, I got to drag this thing like 3 miles back to the truck.
Yeah.
So, like, I think that people, I feel bad for people who can't enjoy that with someone. I would assume most of us listening to this have somebody, speaking of TikTok, it's the guys like, I may not know 6 people to hold my casket, but I know 2 motherfuckers that'll drag that thing around. That's kind of what I'm feeling here. It's that atmosphere, right? You probably know if you're listening to this, those guys that you're like, yeah, that son of a bitch will come drag this thing out with me. Mm-hmm. And I think that's a big importance. In fact, I think that people who don't have that are more at risk to fall out of love with hunting because they don't have it to enjoy with someone.
Yeah, absolutely. I say it's interesting because like at face value, like I am not hunting to make relationships or whatever, but I certainly appreciate that. Like,
and isn't it funny because like hunting is a very solo like feeling of sport.
That's
like,
what I'm trying to get out.
Like, because we've talked about it with the camera guys. It's like, geez, man, like, you know, I there's so much movement. There's two of us in a tree. Like, I love being by myself in the tree. That said, the moment that happens, it's like, I want everybody to come.
Well,
like, I want everybody to be around.
Kansas, like I don't know. I probably would still go, and I would try to like, you know, do it with somebody or do something. But like, you know, a trip like that, like it's fun because we do it, you know,
yeah, man.
And it's amplified by, you know, now bringing our dads. It's like,
we all come back to camp, you know, we're exhausted for the day, but we're like, man, what'd you see? Man, that was awesome. You got to be close this time. He's in there.
At face value, I'll be the first one to tell you, like, I don't hunt to make friends or to socialize. Like it's me and the deer. It's me against me even.
Yep.
But man, it can be easy to take for granted. And I probably have, you know, the relationships that exist around it and how important those are.
I think they're critical into continuing that enjoyment because, you know, anybody who's gone on, let's say, you know, take your rut vacation or whatever, and you've hunted 7 days straight, and let's say you're not at home, like you're not in your normal atmosphere, you're traveled somewhere, you're in a hotel. Like, dude, by day 6 or 7, you're dragging ass. You're tired.
It's tough.
And you need somebody to say, hey, man, got the coffee on. Like, what are you thinking this morning? Wind's out of the north. Like, you need that
By the way, I'll probably bring the espresso machine to camp this year.
Ooh, very nice.
Yeah, I'll be a little barista.
Yeah.
Kansas barista.
I saw somebody the other day that was dishing on High Life. They were like, who drinks this shit? I was like, me.
Really?
Yeah, in Kansas
Yeah,
all the
that's
time.
the Kansas drink of choice.
It's the champagne beers.
Champagne, High Life, and Wellers.
Ugh.
I'm excited. Dad's gonna get a shot of Wellers this year.
Light them up.
Remember the first time I ever came to Kansas? It was Marcus was like, "Here, swig of Wellers." That was the initiation. It was like,
wait, just rolled.
It was like 8 in the morning.
Yeah.
I was like, I was only, I mean, it was 6-7 years ago.
17.
No, I was 21. 22.
21.
And I took this big shot of Wellers. And the first place we went, we're shed hunting. It was in the spring, like March probably. And we went to the local hardware store because the lady that owns it apparently found this giant set of sheds. And I freaking dropped it.
Oh, sorry.
I mean, it was fine, but.
Yeah, they're durable.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's that, again, you're right. It's so weird, especially bow hunters' mindset. You know, like a bow hunter's mindset is to get in, be isolated. Basically, I'm there, but I'm not there, right? I mean, that's the whole point. But the moment you either want to head back to camp or yeah, I mean, even if you don't shoot something, you're walking out of the woods, you're probably texting or calling somebody or updating them.
It's the first thing. Who am I going to call?
Yeah.
Who do you call?
Yeah. And who
do you call
it's
first?
A huge person. Probably, it just depends.
Call your dad?
Call my dad or Emily.
Or Emily.
Yeah.
You should call
with
Margie.
The kids. Yeah.
Which is funny because Margie doesn't give a shit. She could care. I mean, she's excited. She's excited, but I know she doesn't understand.
The 3 phone calls I usually make are Emily, you, and my dad.
Yeah.
Those are the 3 calls of if I kill one. We were on group text the last buck I killed down on public in Kansas. So it was you and my dad that were on group text, and I was like, big buck down or something like that. Yeah. And then I called Emily from it. I will say, though, at some point I got superstitious about that because I called Emily the moment I FaceTimed her and the kids the moment I stuck Wide Boy. And I had Super 7 or 6 or whatever it was right in front of me, and I was like, hey, look at this giant buck, like just sitting down here breeding this doe, and I'm thinking I arrowed a 180. Meanwhile, I put it in a shoulder blade, and then it all went downhill from there. But yeah, you have somebody you reach out to, and you call. I think that's just a gimme.
It's funny. I'm trying to think. It's been Margie the past $3. My wife.
She's like, so.
No, I mean, I know she's happy, but it is funny that I know she doesn't understand that feeling.
But she knows you're excited about it.
Yeah.
So she appreciates it.
It has to be confusing for her because she's like, never seen me in that state. It's just almost like just like uncontrollable.
Yeah. Well, and that's the feeling. Like if that ever goes away, man.
You called me after you shot that 8-point because I was just texting you, and you're like, I want to hear you shake my.
Yeah, that was funny. Well, and that was cool because
I was like, he's right there.
I was watching it on the cell cam. I watched it walk by the cell cam. I'm like, oh my God, it's gonna be like 15 yards. I was like, do I text him now or is he in full draw? I don't know. I mean, I think it's a big part of that experience is like being able, and again, it's not that you need to, but again, let's say you reach the culmination of killing a buck. Doesn't matter if it's big or not. Like you killed a buck, you're excited about it. If you don't have anybody to share it with, is it as good?
It's definitely not.
I don't think so.
Nope.
No, I don't think so. I think it quickly fades.
It's taken me some time to come to terms with that too. I think like as a young man, I was like, this is my thing. Like it's an individual sport. Mm-hmm. And it is. I mean, there's an element of like you want to be able to do it. Do it yourself.
Yeah.
Just like anything, you want to establish your independence. You want to be able to do it yourself. But now I find myself coming back to like, man, I want to share this experience with people.
Well, yeah, I mean that's where like obviously whether it's Kansas or whatever, if one of us shoots a buck, like I'm just excited as you are. Like when you called me about killing that buck last year, I'm like, oh my God, I was in the stand. I'm like, that's freaking nuts. Like I can't believe it.
Yeah.
And I mean that is a cool experience. Like, I think that you really love deer hunting when somebody else can call you and say, hey, I just shot a big buck or whatever, and you're just as excited as they are.
Yeah.
I think that's what makes it really cool. And I think that is that camaraderie aspect that, if you don't have, and man, so many of us, I think, had it at one point in time in deer camps, and that's faded dramatically. And maybe it wasn't in that same mindset because not everybody at a deer camp loved deer hunting as much as some of the other people, but you still had that, like everybody was in deer camp.
Well,
the thing was,
that when we talk about these deer camps, like it seems like they've kind of, some might say they've dissipated. Like they don't happen as frequently. They're not as big.
Not as huge.
But I wasn't really around for that. I mean, maybe a little bit early on, but like it seems like it's amplified in terms of like, what is the word? Like, there's not 10 of us that are just like, oh yeah, deer hunting, great, that's awesome, killed one.
There's a massive group.
It's 2 or 3 of us that are like, we understand the effort, the sacrifice, the money, everything that's gone into like that, and it's a bigger deal.
Well, I think you've also, because of technology, you're now jumping to those 2 or 3 other guys who have no tie to your deer or your even area, but they get it.
Yeah.
So like, again, you kill that big buck and somebody who's in, Kansas who has no idea what it's even like hunting in Ohio is like, yeah, dude, that's a giant, like awesome job, man.
Yeah.
So now you've tapped into these kind of satellite hunters who you've never met. They've never seen your property. They don't know anything, but they understand what it takes to kill a big buck. And they're like, yeah, man, that's awesome. Where you didn't have that when it was deer camp. It was your camp, maybe the neighbors. Hell, half the time you didn't even know what the neighbors killed. Now, because of, let's say, the good of a social media and just texting, like all of a sudden it's like, yeah, And I mean, we've seen it several times where like just through the routes, like somebody will send me a picture of a deer somebody killed, and I'm like, I know that deer. Like this guy has him on camera. And then it's like, now you make that connection, and it's like,
yeah,
it's wild.
Yeah.
It's a crazy experience. I mean, that's why I think, when you circle this back into the content side, when you talk about hunting content, like it's so broad in what it is. It's everything from planting food plots to shed hunting to actual hunts on film
to podcast, to us just sitting here
podcast.
Talking about it.
Like it's so much, and that I think that, we're just hungry for it. And I don't think that there is enough content out there. Like there's a lot of it. There's not enough. I mean, you spend let's say you're sick and you're laying in bed for 8 hours. You can consume every bit of content on deer hunting you want on YouTube in a day.
Yeah.
And watch it over again. And so I think that what becomes unique is like how much content can get put out there that is interesting enough and that is entertaining enough, but doesn't have to be to the level of a production-based show?
Well, I mean, dude, at this point, refine it to like the Outdoor Channel still exists, Sportsman's Channel still exists, and there is that format out there. But I don't watch that. I don't think you watch that. You know, we've kind of tagged on to some of these platforms that have evolved on a digital platform. You know, I still watch Midwest Whitetail even though Bill's not there.
Yep.
I watch Whitetail Edge because we know Ben, and it's a great
Ben.
show, and he kills giant bucks.
I would say, you know, had we not known Ben, we'd probably still watch it.
100%. I was watching it before I knew Ben. That's how we met Ben. I reached out to him. But I just don't subscribe to that, like, whatever it is, 23-minute episode format anymore. It just doesn't do it for me.
Doesn't fit my schedule either.
Doesn't fit my schedule. It's just not like what, I don't know. It's not what I want to watch.
I'd rather watch somebody's 3-minute, fairly unedited piece of content of them slipping in, killing a deer, and getting out.
Yeah, and I'm still on board with, like you mentioned, some others. The Whitetail Adrenaline.
Yep.
I think Heartland Bowhunter still does a nice job with their stuff.
They do.
But when you refine it down, it's like, okay, there's like, I can count on my left hand how many.
And you only have 4 fingers.
Right. Case in point. There's only so many shows that I can like really get on board with.
That you're looking forward to the next episode dropping or watching the next episode.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would say that 90% of the content I watch is one-offs. Like, I find somebody's content, I watch it, and I don't ever watch anything from them
There
again.
are others. Like, I'll bounce around. I'll watch, like, Real Tree Monster Bucks.
Sure.
You know, they'll put out stuff.
Yeah, and I'll still watch Michael and Nick. Like, Nick just killed a big mule deer. Like, I'd love to
There's
see
another
that.
dude. He's doing it pretty good on YouTube, The Learning Curve. They do some cool stuff. You know, I see them kill some giant. I mean, and these are episode-type formats that they crunch down, but...
I mean, so this one kind of bridges both gaps from a content that we like that is unknown, but also... from a like solo hunter standpoint is Jason Blue. Like, we found his content very unknown.
Heading out there pretty soon.
Talked
to him the other day.
Found his content because we were going out to the hunt, not known. It was great, fantastic content. But he also does everything himself.
Fantastic content.
He didn't have anybody with him.
Yeah.
You know, we were texting him when we were out there. We're like, hey, you need a buddy? Like, mainly because you were seeing big bucks and we weren't. But
right.
like, he's out there doing it himself, and he's making content on top of that. And, you know, anybody that's hunting the Dakotas for mule deer should watch Jason's YouTube stuff. And he only does, one video a year?
I don't think he's even doing it anymore. I think he just...
Interesting.
Well, there was kind of like a fad there. You remember, we've talked about the Matthews solo cam, and for a period of time, it was like, I hunt because it's like the evolved version is I want to film my hunts. Like, that's the thing. And I was on board with that for a minute. Like,
we did it.
That was cool. And I think once that kind of faded, you know, a lot of people just fell off of like, well, filming hunts is hard and takes away and screws up opportunities. And like, dude, I'm not going to be on TV.
The last time I filmed was that I killed that 157 in Kansas. And I remember packing in my camera arm, a giant DSLR camera, a freaking Rode mic on the top, that Mevo up in a tree. Like, dude, I had so much camera gear. I was just soaked with sweat when I got there, and I just was MFing everything. Like, I was just so mad that morning because I got in late. I was sweating, you know, and then and I didn't get great footage of it, but I filmed somewhat, self-filmed that deer coming in. And then I was like, that at that moment, it was like cool to have it, but also at the same time, I was like, what a pain in the ass.
Sure.
You know, and again, that's because I was walking in public
fun.
to do that.
I mean, there are some aspects of that are cool. And
I love
when it
going back
works
and
out. It's like,
watching
man,
it.
that's awesome. But like,
yeah, it's cool to go back and watch. I mean, I'm glad I have a lot of the footage I have because it's awesome to go back and watch the hunts and be like, man, yeah, I remember that. But at the same time, like, it's a burden as well.
Yeah.
You know, and I do think it sucks some of the fun out of it
because
you're worried about, you know, are you getting them in film? You know, is this camera on? Is my GoPro on? Like, you're worried about all this other stuff where at this point in my evolved hunting career, I just want to hunt.
Yeah.
I just want to enjoy it and hunt and be in silence and kill a big buck.
You know, I feel this way, having not hunted with a cameraman a lot, but, you know, take it from Bill Winke's hunted with a cameraman as much as anybody. You don't want to do that anymore.
Don't want to do that.
I mean, dude, it's hard enough to get in there undetected by yourself, you know, and worry about your own scent control and movement in the stand, all these, things that have to come together to kill a mature buck like that. And like, dude, to put somebody else in the mix in the same stand as you.
Which is why I'm appreciative of guys like Bill and Ben, and that like I can watch all the content they had with cameramen because I sure shit am not doing it.
I think Ben self-films most of his stuff.
Does he?
Yeah.
I know
Javen goes with him.
with him.
Javen's been with him for a few.
Yeah, on a few. But yeah, I mean, it's
rare. It's rare to find a cameraman like Javen who I assume can
blends
take care
into
of
the
himself.
tree.
Like you don't have to babysit him. He knows what he's doing.
Yeah.
Those are hard to find. Wade is Mark's guy.
Yep.
There's a handful of guys that are like they've been with him for a while.
Yep. They know what they're doing. Yeah. Think about Greg and Aaron and
What a
those guys when
sacrifice
they're
too,
filming
dude. Those
Bill.
guys don't get to hunt. They film all year.
Pass.
What's his face? Levi's dude, his brother.
Yeah, Micah.
Yep.
And Hunter Phelps.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, there's some really good ones out there, but you're right. They sacrifice a lot, and you don't have to worry about them. They know what they're doing. They're as aware of the hunting environment as you are as the hunter, which is, I think, super critical.
Rare. Where do you find somebody who's like more passionate about filming the hunt than hunting themselves?
We talk about that all the time. I mean, for a while there, we were looking for hunt, and it was tough, to find people. And frankly, if you find somebody who loves hunting as much as you do, like, do they really? Because they're about to sacrifice a full season to not hunt.
Yeah, dude. It's the same as like hiring people, man. Like you find somebody who's truly capable of a job. It's like, should they really be working for you, or should they go out and start their own business? I don't know why you looked at you while we were doing it.
Nick,
you're not going anywhere.
You're not going anywhere.
You're coming with us.
Stop
we
it.
got you.
You're coming with. Bring your green hat.
You wait for the next group.
Cool. I don't have anything else. That's all I got.
Okay.
I think.
Yeah, that's fine.
Is there anything else we want to talk about?
No, dude.
It's the season. I'm hoping that
we're right in it, man.
I'm hoping, and again, part of like hunting with other people, I'm hoping that if you're listening to this, you saw pictures recently of one of my kids with a big velvet buck. That'll be badass to start the season. I'm on them too, man.
Yeah.
All of them. And then it's gonna
corn pizzizzle.
Corn's gonna seal the deal.
It has juice.
It has the juice. That's it.
Yeah, man.
Corn.
Trying to think what else is going on here. August 25th. I'll probably start moving some cameras off Mineral here pretty soon.
Yeah, well, I told you I'm going to go to Ohio, I think, Saturday. I'm going to check on my food plot. Hopefully I assume that seed settled down and they're good, and I hope I got brassica popping up through there.
Oh, I have an update.
Oh.
I'm moving on this old field management project.
Yes.
Well, I've got all 40 acres brush hogged. I've got a 200-gallon my dad took the charge on getting a 200-gallon sprayer ordered. It's a 3-point PTO driven 20-foot boom sprayer.
Yep.
And so we're gonna get fire breaks sprayed anytime. And then mid-October, like I said, I've been through this before.
I got an 8-foot disc coming,
but we're moving on it. So my plan is to have that all done for next year, and we'll kind of see. I'm gonna throw a drone over it and just we'll kind of see how that develops. But I'm super stoked with that.
I mean, 40 acres of heavy cover 2 years from now, 3 years from now will be
crazy.
Hurt. No, can't hurt.
Can't hurt.
Yeah, so we got that and going. I'll be in Ohio. I'm going to move my cameras off of Minerals and start kicking in some scrapes out there. We'll be in Kentucky hunting.
You will be September 1st.
Yep.
So the 3rd.
And so if you're listening to this, it's the 4th, 5th, like 6th or something, 7th, I don't know, something like that. And so you're about a week out from going to Colorado.
14th, I'm leaving for that elk hunt.
And then by the time you get back, Ohio will be open.
Yeah.
We are in it.
We'll be right in it.
Listen, this is important. Okay? Serious face.
Listen.
Linda.
Listen.
Listen to me. You're going to be listening to this, and we say this every year, we just haven't recorded it, is like, we're going to play the what? This shit's going to go by fast. Like, we're going to blink, it's going to be Halloween.
I know.
And so be very diligent. If you can hunt, if you're in Kentucky, best be hunting opening weekend.
Yep.
If you're in Ohio, plan that opening weekend time frame, but start looking for cold fronts, because by the time, before you know it, it will be Halloween, and we're gonna be like, holy shit, we got like a month to do this.
That's good advice for October.
We do it all the time.
Don't miss those cold fronts.
We do it all the time. We just say, we'll just wait. It's early. It's first week October. Fucking Halloween before we know it. Kids running around trick or treating and shit, and I haven't killed a buck.
Yep.
Can't do that. Got to pay attention.
Yep.
So
we I don't know if I should say this or not. We talked about doing I don't know if we'll do it. So no problem.
What are we doing?
We talked about doing 2 podcasts a week at some point.
Yeah, during the season.
So we'll see.
If we have enough
Testicular
content.
Fortitude.
Oh.
Yeah, content is what I meant to say.
We also are going to have some new merch.
Yeah. We're going to get some.
Are we soon on that?
Yeah, probably. A couple of weeks. We'll get we're going to do like an olive green Hunter logo shirt, a black one.
Mm-hmm.
And we're going to do like a little graphic tee. So
A little graphic
yeah,
tee.
if it's something you guys are into, order them up. I'm fulfilling them out of my
Can't
house.
kill him if he's not there.
Yeah, buddy. So that's the move, dude.
Yeah.
Early season Kentucky.
I'd love
mid to late September elk hunt. Dude, I could kill a giant elk.
You can
possibly.
give me elk meat?
Yeah, 100%.
That's what I'm talking.
100%. I can't cook that all.
You can give me the meat?
I got you. I got a slab with your name on it, son. Bush latte, son. So actually, I got to buy a
Tag?
chest freezer.
Oh. Yeah, yours expired. Right?
Well, no, I have like just a regular fridge.
What melted last year?
The fridge. It was on a GCI.
Mm.
And it switched. So I got an electrician to fix that.
Fix that.
But I may just like sell that old fridge.
Chest freezers
Facebook
are
Marketplace
clutch.
type of deal and do a chest freezer. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good move. Yeah, man, it's man, cool. I can't believe we're finally in September. Like, it's here. We're in it.
Mike sent me a picture of a hard-horn buck today.
Who?
Lauer.
No, he didn't. Was it from 2021?
Mm-mm.
It's full of shit.
From today.
What did you peel it off? Ugh. I don't want. I need at least another few days of velvet before they
I
start.
think it's
dropping.
velvet. It's a spy plane, so not the greatest picture, but
Yeah, looks hardhorn. Looks white. Looks like it never dropped from last year. Doesn't it?
he said it might be a doe or something. Antler doe.
I haven't seen any. If you're listening to this, you probably have. If you've seen hardhorn bucks, comment below and subscribe.
All right.
Okay,
Let's wrap it up.
that's it. Episode 90, just Jared and I and Nick, and it's September. So if you haven't shot your bow yet, you're screwed. And that's it.
All right.
We'll see you next week.
Later.
Take me